All right, let me check. Everything is working. I still don't see nothing on my Facebook page, which is annoying my life just a little bit. But I believe it's on YouTube, which I'm just going to check real quick and let people have a chance to come in the room. Your channel. All right, so it's on the YouTube channel for sure. I'm going to give you that link as well so that you have it in case you want to publish it there as well. For those who want to watch on YouTube, let me check the Facebook again to see what's going on. I do not see it on Facebook, which is annoying my life. So I'm going to just start a regular Go Fashion Go Live and let's do this. Go Live scheduled broadcast. Should be scheduled. Post on timeline. All right, we're doing Eddie Figz. Hey y'all, if you're on the YouTube, I'm not sure, but I'm giving you heads up. I'm just setting things up on both screens, so please be patient with me. Thank you so much. Boom, and let's go. I'm actually going to put this on here, go live. I don't think it's allowing me to put you on here. I don't like it. I'm ending the live on Facebook. I'm going to put the YouTube thing on instead, since that's what's live right now. Let's put I'm ending the live on Facebook. Let's put the YouTube as opposed to everything on Facebook. This way folks can go to YouTube and watch it live because it's not connecting to Facebook for some reason. Okay. All right. Let me do that as well. Eddie YouTube. Live interview now with Eddie Figz. Please use link below. Alrighty. So I don't see anybody on as of yet, but I know people are probably going to come in through Facebook World. So we're going to do that. Give me a little bit more of your time, Eddie. Thank you for your patience. I appreciate it. And I'm going to get my questions, which I have in my book bag, in 2 seconds. Some pieces of me when you look at my face. Oh, pieces of me. Pieces of me. Pieces of me. Pieces of me. Oh my God. Some pieces of me. Alrighty. So I say we just start and we go into the mix. So hello everyone. As you will see this either in real time or later if you watch it, my name is David Sosa. Um, I am a singer songwriter located in New York, Queens, New York. I'm also an Olocha, initiated to the Lukumi tradition as a child of Oshun and priest of Oshun. I have the privilege today to interview an author and fellow priest as well, who has written a pretty amazing book called The Pieces of Me. And it really highlights his growing up and his overcoming of adversity at almost every angle. And it's really, really heavy, but it's also very inspiring. And so I'm going to invite Eddie on to the mix so he can introduce himself and we can get into some of this. Hello, my good sir.
Hey, what's up?
So, introduce yourself, please.
As David said, I am a fellow Locha, just like himself. I have 10 years crowned of Yemaya, um, Brooklyn native, uh, Miami transplant, and now proud to say published author.
Yes, yes. So, I wanted to ask, what got you? When was the decision to sit down and I'm going to write about my life? Where did that come from? Like, on what time period would you say in your life did you start writing this?
So, it's something that I've always played with. I would always tell people, I'm going to write a story about my life because I lived a crazy ass life.
Hmm.
Um, and he thought, funny enough, Yemaya told me to write a book. She said, "You're going to write a book. I want you to write it. And when you write it, just leave everything up to me. I'm going to take care of everything else." But I never really paid mind to it. I would always say, a book? What am I going to write a book about? I don't want to write a book like on the religion because to me, that's overplayed, right?
Right.
And I'm like, and you have to have years of expertise to really be taken serious when you write a book about the religion. So, the beginning of this year, I brought down Yemaya, and my godfather told me, Yemaya says that now is the time to do something that you've been planning to do and you've been holding off on. And I said, I don't know what she's talking about, but we'll figure it out. And one day, I kid you not, I woke up and I told my wife, I'm going to write my book. And she said, okay, whatever you need, you let me know. And I told, hey, I'm going to write it. And that was, I want to say like 3 or 4 months ago. And it took me
Okay.
2 months to write the book from start to finish. And
Two
then
months?
2 months.
That's it? Jesus.
That's it. Um, well, that's just writing it, right? That's the easy part. And
Gotcha.
then you have to go through editing and you have to send out query letters to get an agent in order to even be considered by a publishing house. So it took me 2 months to write the book from start to finish.
Um, so that's the writing. Where was the decision? Because I know for me as a songwriter, I get nervous about what I write because it's like my baby. It becomes a part
Hmm.
of me, my journal, whatever you want to call it, that I am artistically sharing. This is so now we're talking. This is not even just artistically sharing. You are actually exposing yourself to the world, to whoever gets this now has a very particular insight into your life. Did that creep you out at all? Did that like enter your head and it was like, oh shit?
It did. I was like, I am really opening up to everybody. Like, people are about to see my life as only I've seen it. I've been very, very, very guarded about my life. I would joke around about, my dad was crazy, my mom got shot. I would tell those stories, but I never went into details of my life. And I was always reserved, and I always had a fear of being judged. But over the years, I have 4 boys and 1 girl. And over the years, just seeing how society works and how they stigmatize men that have gone through mental health issues and have gone through abuse,
Mm-hmm.
I said, you know what? I'm going to write the book and I'm going to leave it in my ass hands. And actually asked me to. And I was asked in another interview, how are you going to handle any criticism or backlash or people, now knowing everything about your life? And it's simple. I've been through so much in my life that it won't bother me. Yemaya literally took me by her hands and she walked me through everything all over again. And she gave me a sense of healing to where it doesn't bother me.
I can tell you that, and I've only gotten, like I told you earlier, I only got to chapter 9 at this point,
Hmm.
and I'm already trying to fight the world, and I'm already want to fight everybody in your neighborhood, damn near. Um, so there's that, but there was a point where, and I'm gonna save it for a question. I'm gonna save it for a question because I
Okay.
don't want to put words into your mouth. I want to ask you to see if I because I know what I was feeling as an Alocha reading it, right? Especially regarding like mothering
Yes.
and you being crowned to the mother of the world. And I find that to be very interesting based on your experiences. But I'm going to get into that later, a little
Okay.
bit later. So, um, so one thing I found very interesting about your writing and your experience has been pretty much it's the hood, it's the street. This is it full, and like if you have been in it, lived in it, and even somewhat proximity of it, you
Yep.
know this story. You know these stories. You know these people. These are people that whether you know them actually, you know them. They're in your neighborhood.
There in your neighborhood.
They're
Yep.
in there, right? I did not grow up in the hood of that essence. I grew up in the hood somewhere else. But whenever I would go visit Brooklyn or go visit the Bronx for family members and stay the summers and stuff like that, I these are the people that I knew. These are the people that I came back from the summer knowing things I probably wouldn't have known growing up in a different area,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
And so I wanted to ask you, growing up amongst the just the folk, right? The folks like literally on the street. Like, how does this affect your understanding of people? Let's say that you help in the tradition that come to you for help. People who live in the streets, people who know this life that you have seen and experienced yourself. How does this shape your interaction with people that are coming in or that may come to you for help?
I because of everything I went through and living from the hood, like you said, I don't judge anybody that asks for help. Nobody at all. Um, and it's something that's always been instilled in me by my elders too. You can be a drug dealer, you can be a prostitute, whatever phase in life that you're in. I'm
Hmm.
not gonna judge you because had someone judge me when I wanted to come to the feet of Ocha, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Hmm.
Um, yes, I went through a lot of abuse, but there was a lot of people that stepped in my life that kind of nudged me and was like, "Hey, look this way. Life is not all about where you at right now. Look this
Right.
way." If I didn't have those people that influenced me, I really think that my life would have been totally different. I would have ended up in the streets or addicted to drugs or a total opposite of where my life is at now.
Very interesting. And do you feel, and because I've had these conversations in various forms and formats with various people, and so I always like to gauge people's answers because I think it's important to get a wide variety of people's lens. In the essence of that, do you feel obligated more to be like one of the voices of reason or the ones to help folks? Like you see them in a certain light, and I'm not talking about like clients now. I'm talking about maybe like God kids, right? People that are really coming in and are now learning more about Ocha and or maybe Piritim or whatever the case may be. But do you feel more of a sense of how do we do what was maybe done for you, step in this place and point their head in this direction, and like do you feel more obligated because of that or no?
I wouldn't say obligated. It just actually, honestly, it just comes naturally. Like I look at, and a lot of times, like my god kids will tell you, I step back and I try to help them find the solution themselves. When they be like, "Hey, I got this problem going on," I just stay quiet and I say, "Okay, and what are we gonna do about it?
Right.
Which way are you gonna go about it?" And if they tell me a totally off the wall response, then I say no. You need to look at it from this angle. Let me play the devil's advocate and let's put ourselves in this situation. And let's put ourselves in, if you're having an issue with a person, let's put ourselves in their shoes. Um, because everything is not black and white. So that's how it is. I don't feel like it's an obligation. It should be an obligation for people, because we shouldn't judge anybody that comes to the feet of Orisha, or even if they don't come to the feet of Orisha, right?
Right.
Um, but it just comes naturally.
I love it. I actually love that you said that because I think there is a huge dissonance, cognitive dissonance with people who enter the tradition and trying to, in any way, shape, or form, and trying to somewhat vet where the people are at in their life and how much we can help them, if they're willing to change or they're willing to help themselves, you know what I'm saying, if they're
Hmm.
willing to do that work. And one thing I've always stated about Ocha and the practices therein is that it's really about self work. A lot of it's about self work. It is not about
It
just
is.
learning songs and knowing herbs and Odu and all that. All those things are very integral pieces to a whole, but the journey really is yourself walking through
Yeah.
this community and growing as a person, and then by extension as a priest.
My thing is, if you're gonna come at, because what I'm seeing a lot now is that people are coming at this on with a Hollywood type mentality, right? Like, this is witchcraft, and I'm going to use this to destroy my enemies, and I'm going to use this to gain fame, and I'm going to use this to gain money. No, if that's where you're coming from, then by all means, you are a honeypot for people that are just going to take you for your money.
Absolutely.
They're just going to take. Orisha's healing. Orisha's love.
Hmm.
Orisha is getting a better understanding of yourself, because that's the reason we have any thought, right? And I said this in another interview. We're so off track. Not all of us, because some people come to the feet of Orisha for health reasons, and but a lot of us are so off track of where we should be in life that we need that ashe of the Orishas, and we need that ita to tell us this is how you need to move from this day forward. If not, you're lost. But if you come into the feet of Orisha because you're trying to get a infinity stone like Thanos, you're lost. You're lost. You're
Right.
lost,
Right.
and you're just opening yourself up to get taken for your money.
I agree. I agree. I always tell people this is not the magic beans. This is not the magic
Mm-mm.
beans that you're telling everybody to be. Like, I've had conversations with people specifically, and I don't want to stay on this topic too long, but I've had conversations with people where it's very important to me to tell them, are you prepared to hear no?
Mm-hmm.
Do I need Ocha? No.
No.
Do I need to receive this thing? No. Are you okay with no? Because a lot of times people have got this thing, well, if I save up money and I have it, then I should just be able to get it. And I will tell you first, this is not the drive-through. This is not Wendy's. You're not
It's
just going to
not.
give me money and I'm going to give you what you want. We're going to go sit down. We're going to divine. We're going to see if that's what's needed. And if they say it's needed, then we make plans. Then you can utilize that money. But if not, don't come with me with the response that because I have money, I should be able to get it. That's never going to work.
Oop.
It's
That's what I tell my
irresponsible.
god kids. I tell them the Orishas are not going anywhere. You got to take your time. It's not today. It's not tomorrow. It can take years. It can take months. But you're not gonna come and run and rush and say no. I'm doing Ocha today, because
Right.
it's not gonna happen. It's a process. And one thing I would leave people off with is this: Orisha is healing. Remember, if you're not where you're at in life, just know that when you knock on that door, when you come into an ile, and when you be like no, and you insistent that you want to do Ocha, right? You're insistent
Mhm.
that you want to do Ocha. When you get to that point, just know that they're gonna heal you. They're gonna help you heal emotionally, up together with I always tell people you need to seek therapy or alternatives as well. But
Yes.
it's not gonna be a kumbaya type of healing. It's gonna be raw. It's gonna be we're gonna relive every single facet of your life, and we're gonna relive it together, and we're gonna heal you together properly. It's not, oh, I'm gonna pass your hand and everything's gonna be kumbaya and I did all chant tomorrow. I'm gonna wake up and all of a sudden I'm not depressed and all my issues are gone. No, it's gonna be, I'm gonna drag you through the mud. We're gonna go all through there together again. We're gonna go all the way back to the beginning, and then we're gonna slowly make our way to where we need to be. So just keep that in mind. If you think you're gonna do all chant, it's gonna be a magic wand. It's and it's gonna be easy. It is not gonna be easy.
These are facts. These are the actual facts of life. That I hope any of you who are listening, who may or may not be initiated or are understanding or trying to get in further
Hmm.
into the tradition, to understand these are priests that are telling you this. Like in my short little 12 years of having Oshun, I have had so much mirror work to do where I've had to look at myself consistently. And sometimes I really did not like what I saw. And I'm not talking about externally, which is its own thing. That's
Yeah,
its own thing. But understanding the edit and reform I had to keep doing to myself, to my character, to various things.
and
And
they will
and
try
and
you.
they will try me. And they will put you in
Hmm.
position sometimes to reface it to make sure, did you really get over that thing? Did you really master that thing? Because the last time you kind of act, let's see what's the pattern. What are you going to do now that this is back in your face in the same position, or different person, maybe the same person or situation. I mean, and so it's understanding the mastering of self. It really is the
Hmm.
mastering of self and understanding why you get an ita, to what you were saying, to your point, and to go back to it and be like, this was in there somewhere.
Yeah,
This was in there somewhere. How do I exemplify this character or this ashe or whatever the case may be, and navigate through this thing differently.
exactly.
And one of the hardest things for me has been surrender. I'm a control freak. I am a
Yep.
control freak for a lot of things, and so the idea of giving it to God, so to speak, is hard for me. That's very hard for me.
Yep.
And I think it's one of the things I still can tell you I have not learned in entirety. There's some things I have been able to just be like, you know what? Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen. You guys got me. You said this was what was gonna happen. Like, have it, because I can't. And there's other times where I'm like, I gotta be on top of this. Like, what do I do?
For
I'm
sure.
just like, so yeah, guys, it's no joke being a priest. It's not a walk in the park by any
It's
means.
not. It's not,
And
and
or
they hold
initiated,
us.
people initiated not priests. You
I
know what I
I
mean?
feel like the Orishas hold us to different standards because they like you know better,
That that
as an opposed to an Aleo that comes and they get red and the Orisha tells you to go left, but you decide to go right. Then you know what, you went right. Deal with the consequences. Uh, you can come back and visit, and we'll find a solution. I feel like with us is like go left. Oh, you want to go right? I'm gonna sit back and watch you go right. And then when you go right and you destroy yourself, right when you're at the cusp of just total destruction, I'll step in and help you and then remind you that I told you to go left.
oh yeah, very
So,
much so. But as I tell people, I'm like, you don't have. I'm like, don't rush to this because like you don't have taboos. You don't have any thought or taboos. You have
mhm,
zero responsibility that we have. Once you're in the
yeah,
shoes, you got to live life accordingly. You know.
exactly.
Um. All right. I don't want to stay there, but I'm glad that you went. I'm glad that we had that conversation because I feel like a lot of people get very enamored with the idea of what they think this all is. Um. Growing up with all this around you, all the stuff going on, the drug use, the drug abuse, the gangs, the everything, right? How do you feel this has affected you as a man, as a father, as a husband? Even, I mean, there's a lot of examples here of kind of what not to do, right?
What not today? Yep.
Throughout this. And I've always said we learn from our elders, and we learn as much as what to do as sometimes we learn not, what not to do. How do you feel this has affected you in trying to be a father, and or like I said, a husband and things of that nature?
It scares the crap out of me
Huh?
because it scares the crap out of me.
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you because my kids are being grown in such a different environment that they do not understand what it is to grow up like that.
Hmm.
I was actually telling my wife not so long ago. I was like, if we were to ever move back to New York, our kids are done for. They toast because they're not used to the lifestyle. and it scares the crap out of me because I feel like if they are exposed, not completely like I were, but if they were to be exposed in different types of environments, then they'll be prepared for it. And I feel like once they get older and they go out into the real world, there's a lot of things they're ignorant about. Um, they're going to be ignorant about drug use. They're going to be ignorant about the gang life. You know what I'm saying? And it scares me, but it just that's one of the reasons why I wrote the book too. When I started writing the book, I was like, this is going to be a good template for my kids, so that they can read where I went, what I went through, what I experienced, and they can know what's out there and what to avoid. But honestly, it scares me. Um, Not that I would prefer anyone to live the same lifestyle that I lived growing up, but like summers in New York, I would have preferred my little ones to spend the summers in New York just a little bit, just so they can get a little taste of what it's like back home. Um, but it's difficult because you're in a crossroads. You don't know how much to expose your kids to so that they can come out clear minded, and how much to protect them from. And then you don't want it's like trying to find a balance. I don't want to protect them too much and keep them ignorant of the real world, but I don't want to expose them to anything that's going to be a gateway where they're not going to be able to control themselves.
I totally can get that. I totally can get that. Those in the comments, if you're asking questions, I definitely will get to those questions. I just want to make sure I get through mine first, but it will definitely will recap and go back. So
Oh, I didn't
even
even see I just saw the comments.
that's all right. Even Lisa, we're definitely going to get back to that comment because I think that's a great comment. What was the other thing I wanted to ask you? Um, this feeling of othered, being othered. I think youth experience it in various ways, be they, whether they're short, tall, skinny, fat, gay, trans, whatever. There's a feeling of I don't belong or where do I fit in?
Yeah,
And one of the things I kept noticing, and one of the chapters you wrote about feeling invisible. You were like the invisible kid
I was.
that nobody was really paying attention to you unless they needed something from you, information, a favor, whatever the case may be.
Hmm.
Did you feel, or do you feel that that has in any way influenced you to compensate, like to overcompensate in areas of your life where you feel like I need to be seen or I need to, stand out or anything like that? Did you come across with those things that kind of like opposed that feeling of invisibility?
Funny enough, the opposite.
The opposite.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because I felt like I was invisible because I was seeking the attention of others.
Mm,
But then I realized, fuck them. I'm gonna do what I want to do in my life.
right.
I'm gonna live how I see that is properly to live.
Hmm.
I am not gonna have. I don't want to have to seek validation from nobody. And at the end of the day, I have to be the best version of me. And then I started to see that the people that I was seeking validation from, they weren't the best example of people that I should be seeking validation from.
Right.
So it kind of made me invert, like look within myself. How can I make myself the best version of me so that I don't have to seek outward for validation from anybody?
Hey, that's real. That is real right there.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I struggle with and I want to say I don't want to say new generation because I don't think that that's correct and I don't want to have divisive conversation. But one of the things I noticed by a lot of people that are in the tradition now of various ages and circumstances, this idea of really wanting to be seen so much. And it's like there's just constant pictures and constant videos. And it's like they're chronicling every part of their life at almost any part in time, and you could tell it's all for numbers, it's all for
Hmm.
likes, it's all for whatever. And I think for me, like if you're gonna do it in your own personal life, like you want to walk down the street and do it, like cool, like I mean it's your life, whatever. But then there's certain moments where it crosses over into the spiritual world. I'm like, do you really need to be filming this right now? Do you need to be taking pictures in Igbo at this particular moment?
Yeah.
Like, but I think this understanding of invisibility where people I think struggle with that, I think, and in this world where everything is so social media heavy and
Give,
so
give me a second.
yeah.
My little ones.
I get it, I get it.
um
But yeah, you get what I'm saying, that visibility thing, and I'm wondering like
Yeah,
how do we address even those things? Like how can we encourage a different things of like, hey, don't worry about everybody seeing you and like being heard and seen all the time. Like,
I think that's something that is gonna have to be an individual journey, because no matter how much you tell someone, if you tell them, hey, stop putting up pictures or stop, exposing these parts of you that shouldn't be out there, especially when it comes to religion and secret ceremonies, they're gonna label you as a hater.
yeah,
So you just gonna have to let them fall in their face. There's a lot of things that I tell a lot of people. I'm like, people have to. Sometimes I feel like people seek that self destruction, or they seek that validation from society, and it's just to destroy yourself, because there's nothing that society can't tell you that you don't know about yourself.
right,
If you look at the Odu Irosum, it talks about nobody knows what lies in the bottom of the ocean. When you apply it to a person, the Orisha is basically telling you no one knows what you really have inside but God and yourself. Why you have to seek, exposure out there to get to, like, what? I don't understand what's the validation for it, but that's something that has to get addressed on an individual. And
yeah,
I think as elders and godparents is something that we need to instill in our god kids. And it starts from there. It's like, just like secular society, when they tell you the upbringing starts from home
yeah.
with your kids. It's the same thing with in the religious community. It has to start from the elders. It has to start from your ile, because unfortunately a
Absolutely.
lot of elders have gone left.
I always say you got to be the example, you know, and there's a time and place. I think it's understanding time and place and really reinforcing
Hmm.
that the same way you would, you know, as a grown person to a child. But like in various places, you got to know your
Yeah.
setting. You're not going to act the same in a family cookout versus when you sit down in a restaurant, right?
Okay.
There's the understanding of time and place and understand. So that's the kind of thing. And I think the notion of, I know everyone's lens is different, everyone's experience is
Hmm.
different, and so what they view as sacred may not be what the other
Yeah,
person views as sacred. And so you get into those conversations. But if we can exemplify it for ourselves and as ourselves, then whoever is following behind and or in lieu will kind of hopefully get the idea.
for sure.
Um, so first of all, I was at work having a whole cancer moment. I'm not
Why?
I'm not softy as much as people think I am. I've a very few people who know me have ever seen me cry or tear up about something. Very rarely.
Hmm.
I literally had tears in my eyes today at work as I was reading the portion where you were on the couch, your little Eddie on the couch crying, and grandma finds you crying and is like, "What's up?" And you're just like, "I miss my mom, like I want my mom."
Oh, my mom, yeah.
That died. I died. I died a little bit. Like everything in me was like, get this child a candy or something, like hug him now. Like, what do you feel? I immediately, and this is, I hope this is taken within context. I immediately felt like the idea at that point in time or in your life, and I haven't read past, like I said, a certain, so I don't know what
Yeah.
changes and if anything changes, but the feeling of almost being unmothered by your mother specifically at particular points in your life where it was your grandmother and or kind of being flopping around between aunts and wherever you needed to fit into the place. um this notion of like, I just, in my thing of just reading that, I was like, Yemaya was like, let me be the mother to you that like nobody can. Like that's the first impression I got so strong, which made me almost ball up a little bit more. And I was like I was holding it. I was holding. I was working. I was like so that's what I was trying to ask earlier, and I didn't want to get into. Do you feel it's any coincidence, or do you feel it's any thing that you got made to the mother of the world? Because I think just between looking at your mom and even your grandmothers were vastly different, just how this
Hmm.
idea of mothering looked, right? Or even Gladys and them, right? So talk
Yeah.
to me about that.
So, no, I don't think it's a coincidence. I really think that she stepped into my life, because that is the energy that I needed. Like, and growing up as I got older, I was always like caring towards kids, and always the notion of wanting to have my own kids and be there for them and raise them and set up the life that I wanted for myself growing up for them. Um, so she's there because she's there. Like, it falls into place, it aligns, you know. Um, and and coincidentally, this has always been a strong woman in my life that has veered me towards the right path. Always. There's been men that have stepped in and given me advice, but as far as like growing up at younger, there was never like a solid male figure to tell me like this is how you should live, this is how you should go, this is how you should carry yourself. It's always been women that have stepped in and said, "Hey, come over here. Let me show you this way of life. Let me show you this way of thinking." Um, Even down to my cousins. I was, my female cousins were always the ones to step in and give me the best advice and steer me. So the fact that it's Yemaya and that lack of when I was growing up feeling like that, it makes sense. As you read on the book and as I grew up in life, I came to see my mom differently though, because at that time I wasn't understanding. Like, I felt like she just abandoned me. She wasn't around, but it wasn't the case.
Right.
So it goes
'Cause
more into deep details.
yeah, because I started to see I got to points where you got to go to work with her and really see how she worked and how she was being
Yeah,
treated,
yeah, yeah.
how what she was going through there. So you got a different perspective of why my mother was busting her behind and why she did not want to be on the block when people would get
Yeah.
stabbed and
Why
fighting.
she didn't want to be in my grandmother's house because she
I
knew they
get
were
it.
gonna talk crap to her. Um, and also, I think to her, she felt like that was the safe home base, right? Because her family upbringing was that of, um, it was a strict household. It was safe. If you ever wanted a plate of food, you knew that that's the place to go to eat, to have somewhere to sleep.
Right.
My grandmother's kids always knew that no matter what they went through in life, where they were facing an eviction or divorce or sleeping in the street, that mommy's house was always open for you to come. So I think that the alternative to that would have been staying. Not that my dad's side of the family was horrible, but they lived a different lifestyle. So it was between being over there or being surrounded by my mother's side of the family. So I think that that's why she took those steps, and she was like, "I'm gonna leave you here with grandma." Um, and on the back end, no one told me like, "Hey, you here, but your mom makes sure that she gives me money for groceries so that you have the food that you need, or your mom is, trying to do some raffles to make sure you have extra money so you can have some clothes on your back." Nobody ever told me that, so I never understood that concept. So to me, it was like, okay, she's gone. Where is she, right?
Right.
Um, and it was not until later in life that I realized, like, oh, she was always around, just not physically, but she always was making sure that I had food, or she was helping out with food for me to eat, and she was just trying to survive herself because she lived through so much trauma and so much. She lived through so much. My mom, I'm surprised on how strong she's been in life.
Yeah. I just got to the points of where your father was really in the mix and how much between going to visit him with or without you and him coming back home after the trip from the Poconos and all that, like, just really seeing what she was going through with somebody who could not give up their street life, who would not understand the level of prioritizing it takes for a family and maybe a husband as well, right? And all that.
Hmm.
And so that's that was one of the things why I asked you, like, how does this, with having these examples, how does it make you, because it can go both ways. My father was not so much a player because his father was much of a player. My father also did not hit us really, very rarely, because his father used to beat the hell out of all of them. So
Hmm.
he took a way different approach, right, than what his father did in those particular instances. Whereas my mother, who was very much like your grandmother maternally, was, I'll beat you in anything I can find if you get on my nerves, and it could be anything in hands. So we got a multitude of things. We got bit.
Yeah.
um, because her parents were quick with the, you know what I'm saying? That's what she knew. So rather than be, you know what I'm saying? And I was just having a conversation with my mother recently and understanding. I told her, I said, the reason I was able to grow up and not hold on to too much, even though we had a lot of head bump times and things of that nature, was because I understood at one point, I said, A, there's no real rule book with parenting.
Right.
I don't care who wrote the books. There is no rule book with parenting. And the reality is that, and I told her this, and she was just like, she had to like just sit back and think a little bit. I told her, I said, you know, you guys did the best you knew with what you had.
Yes.
Now, it doesn't
Yes.
mean that I agree with it. It doesn't mean that it didn't hurt in certain places that may have caused trauma and or triggers and whatever for later on. But I
Hmm.
also knew that I have not been in that position where you have to care for someone in that capacity for several years and that will never go away. Kind of, you know, even
Yeah.
if you relinquish them into adulthood, there's a part of you that knows them longer as your child than you know them as an adult. You know,
Hmm.
and that's something my father had growing up. So I mean, just how do you feel like a relationship, you know, in that aspect? Like I said, even as a parent, like with your kids, like how do you see yourself kind of navigating that a little bit?
I get, yeah, I gauge it, so
Hmm.
I adjust as I go. Like my son at times can be very emotional, so I know when to, you know, be easy with him. But and then I also have the eye where I can see when they're trying to get over, and that's when grandma's style of raising comes into place. And I remind them, I will whip your tail if I have to, but we're gonna try to avoid that, and we're gonna go a different route. Um, Even my stepson, I raised him since he was 3 years old. I told him, "You're my son. You know, I'm the only thing he's really known as a dad." And one day he told me, he was like, "Why you always tell us you're gonna hit us, and you never hit us?" And I told him, "That's the warning, because the day I do hit you, it's not gonna be pretty. It's gonna be like my grandmother used to hit us, and whatever was next to her, it was coming for you." And my mom even tells the time when where she was cooking, my grandmother was cooking with a whole ass spoon in the pot, mixing the rice, and my mom was playing in the back with a spoon, and the ladle broke off and hit my grandmother in the head. And my grandmother thought something fell from the ceiling, and the anger in her, she beat the crap out of my mom. And my mom's friend was there, and because my mom's friend was laughing, she beat the crap out of her friend too. So it's finding that
Come
middle
on,
ground.
abuela, let's do it.
Oh, my grandmother didn't play. My grandmother did not
And this is
play.
maternal grandmother.
Yes, maternal grandmother. She was like 5'2", but in her head, I think she thought she was like 7'8" and Hercules, because she would not play. When I tell you that lady would not play, I seen her go into clubs and take people out and been like, "I'm gonna slap you up." And she's always told her kids, "I don't care how old you are, I will slap you up if I have to."
It's funny. My great grandmother was like that. My she was known, and my grandmother was like a saint. She could never. The most she'll do is scream at you. My great grandmother had no problem punching you in the face, choking you out. Like she didn't care. Grab a baseball. Like she didn't care. There was
See,
not a. She didn't care.
with my grandmother, it was if she screamed at me, I was relieved, right?
Right.
Because then I knew how far she was from me. It was them hidden slaps that I was afraid of.
Those quick flaps. Those
Yes, yes, them hidden ones. Like
the ones that hit your
I'll
lip real quick.
no, I'll recount real quick. I my cousins that live downstairs, in the book Gladys Kids, they had got a puppy, and of course, I long to have that home life where I can have my own pet and stuff like that. So I was like obsessed with wanting a puppy, and my grandmother had dogs, but she was like, "No, that's too much of a responsibility." And my uncle, feeling bad, he didn't know no better. He had a friend of his who the dog had puppies. So he took me with him and we picked out a puppy. And to hide it from my grandmother, he left it in his room. So the puppy was like barking all night,
Oh,
and my grandmother caught wind of it. And she cursed him out. She made him take the dog back. And she waited until I was quietly watching TV, and I just felt whack, smack across the face. And she's like, "Yo, no te dije que no trajeron perro aquí? Them is the scary ones." Dumbest the scary ones when you just quietly watching something on TV and you not only do you get scared because you're getting hit with something you don't know what it is, but and then the hit. So that's how she was. She was a very strict disciplinarian, but she had a heart of gold. She was like on both sides of the spectrum. And with me, like she put that extra gentle touch. Like she'll beat the crap out of me, but then she'll tell me that she was sorry, and she'll gently rub me where she hit me, and she'll turn it around.
Got you. Um, so we get into one part of the hard part, which ruined my life a little bit, which uh is Lalo how you say it?
Yeah.
That fucker. Um, I wanted to ask between what happened there, the obvious abuse, and call it what it is, rape, and even just encountering other people like Uncle Joe and all that stuff. Like, how do you feel? Did that affect your ability to relate to other men or have like bonds or friendships with other dudes? Like, did that affect you in any of those type of ways?
Um, it was more of a I'm not gonna. I wouldn't get close to any male figure, and any of my cousins. It's like growing up, I was always with the girls. I never chilled with the guys. Um, and I just didn't have like any connection with any male figure. It wasn't until really, really where I feel like I had the most solid connection is with my godfather now. Like he took me. He was like at as old as I'm 36 years old. He took me. He was like, "Come here, son. I'm gonna show you how we should move, how you should act." Um, and he taught me a lot. But I really didn't connect with any male figure. So I always cautioned away from guys. I had some guy friends that we hit it off and we became close, but then eventually we just grew apart.
Right, right,
So it was always that. And because of that, imagine as a young kid, um, while all my friends were watching WWF and wrestling and stuff, I was sitting in the living room watching novelas
right,
with the trajiquismo. Oh, Dios mío, Raúl, right? Uh,
right.
and and then I was always chilling with the girls. Like I remember I would be playing like with my cousin Lily that she lived downstairs, Gladys'
Yeah.
daughter. We would play like Candyland and stuff like that, right? Um, so growing up, it was I would stay away from like males, and then people would be like, "I do it afeminado because you're always with the girls," and I would be
Mhm.
like, I didn't understand the concept. Like I didn't see anything wrong with it. I still don't see anything wrong with it. If my kids decide, if my sons want to hang out with just girls, and I feel like you get to understand the female mind a little bit more, not completely, but a little bit more.
No. I
But that's her.
I I totally, yeah, I totally grew up in that environment where I got hit and ridiculed for hanging out with girls because the biggest fear for my parents, I think at that point, was that I was going to be gay. Surprise, surprise. Um, so, but I would literally, I got hit plenty of times. I got punished for playing because I think a boy came home from school one time and said that I was playing, I guess hopscotch or one of the jump roping or something. I had no
Mhm.
interest in throwing a ball through a hoop. I had no interest in running around tackling anyone. I had no interest in hitting a ball with a bat. It just didn't interest me. As an artist in my head, music, clapping, dancing. I felt like that was where, you know what I mean? So for me, I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
oh yeah, like let's do, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
that
yeah,
to me made sense because I was always musically inclined. And that's where, but it became the whole thing. Like I was forced to play sports, forced to like, and to this day, like even like going to like gym and stuff like that, like anytime it's a male dominated environment, I get anxiety.
yeah.
I literally get anxiety, and people like people be like, "He's oh, just go to the gym and lose weight," and I'm like, not that easy for me. And I'm like, I can get on a machine and do cardio, but when it comes to like weight training, which is what some of my specific memories of like being bullied and whatever it was, I don't want to be around other men. I don't feel safe around men.
Mhm.
Now think about that for somebody who's attracted to men who not feel safe around them, who does. So it's a very weird dynamic I even have with guys. So that's why I wanted to ask that question. Like, did that in fact I didn't, like I said, because I didn't read on. I don't know if any of these questions get answered. Um, Out of curiosity, I mean, does anyone ever really like deal with this dude? With
Whew. So let me tell you, I thought I was, I thought I went through healing before this book, and this book really like my Maya.
for real?
She really was like, I need to open your eyes. You are not done. And I don't think anyone that has ever been through any type of abuse will ever completely be done healing, because there's always going to be scars, whether it be emotional or physical. But as I wrote this book, the hardest chapter was that chapter 5. I cried through that chapter while I was writing it. Um, my wife, when she went behind me to read it, she couldn't finish it. She just pushed the laptop away and she said, I can't. And I told her, I need you to please. I want to check if, because once you write something, you need a fresh set of eyes to make sure there's no like
Yeah,
typos and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
And I told her, please, please. And she pushed through it. And I want to say for like 12 hours straight, my wife was just in silence. She just was like, didn't know the words to find. And I told her, don't worry about it. I lived through it. I already know. I went through the motions. But I think what hit me the most was when I shared so in 36 years, my mom did not know what happened to me.
That's what I was gonna get. I was gonna be one of my
Neither,
questions. So good.
neither any of my aunts. This was strictly something that any of my cousins could tell you. I have always been loyal to my grandmother and always very empathetic to other, like especially the females in my family, how they felt. So the hurt that I saw in her eyes and the fear that I saw that she experienced, I kept my word that I was not going to say anything. Um, so when I got to writing that part in the book, my wife was like, "You got to tell your mom. You cannot like, you
Put this
cannot let
out in
her
the
get
book, and moms don't know.
right.
Right, right,
You
right.
can't let her get caught off by surprise." So, and in 36 years, it took a lot for me to say, "Hey, I was raped." Right? I used to say, "Oh, someone got fresh with me." I couldn't just
Say it.
right. So before I decided to tell my mom, so I had told one of my aunts if she can proofread the chapter for me, knowing fully well
Is that
what was in the
Carmen?
chapter. That's my mom. Hi,
That's your
mom.
mom?
That's my mom.
Hi, Doña Otero.
That's my mom. Um, so when I wrote that, I sent it to my aunt, knowing fully well what was in the chapter, right? Because my aunt Miriam, she's always been like the cool one that you could tell anything to, right? You could tell her, "Yo, Titi, I smoked a blunt today and I got super high," and she'd be like, "What? Don't worry about it. It's not the end of the world, right?" So she was always want to reassure you, like, "It's all
Yeah.
right. Don't worry about it. Don't listen to none of these people in the family. You do what you have to do." When she responded back, she was crying. And she said, I didn't know why you didn't tell me. And I understand, that you wanted to, protect grandma. And she said, but I need to tell you something. And when I asked her, what is it? She said, there's other victims.
Always are.
And my grandfather's side of the family hid it. And that's why nobody knew about them. So when my mom came, she was all hype about making pasteles. And I grabbed her when she was distracted and I said, I need to tell you something. The book is coming out and I talk about this in the book. And my mom just stopped everything that she was doing and she looked at me and she said, what? And she said, wait, 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 wait. What? And she goes, that I fought with my family? And mind you, I didn't know that he had other victims. I didn't know anything about him. I had literally two interactions with him when I went to Puerto Rico to visit and when he came to visit us.
Right, but down by the river, guys were showing us
Right.
the fish and
Which I'm
everything.
gonna tell
Yeah.
you right now why that tripped me out in a little bit. So When when I told her, she got mad, she got angry, and she was like, I when I heard about the other victims, I questioned my father's side of the family, and I told him, why would you hide this? Like, this man hurt your children. Why would you hide this? And I grew angry for their kids. But now to know that my own son, and I didn't even know, she was livid. And
I'm
she
sure.
had her reservations for the book coming out because, you know, I'm essentially telling her story too. And she didn't want anyone to judge her. And I told her, who cares? Who cares? So when I found that out, it gave me like the wind to just keep on, because I said, no, they might have silenced them, but they're not going to silence me. And I asked all of his victims to stand up and speak out, because he is living a cushy ass life in his mother's house.
He's still alive.
He's still alive,
I can't.
living his best life.
Let's roll
They
up on
let
this motherfucker today.
my when my great grandmother passed away, she left the house to him. He is living his best life in the island, and here are his victims. And when I've heard of specific victims, and I'm not gonna put nobody's business out there, like, you can see how their life was fucked up by their experience. Like, they have no way to deal and cope with this, and then to know that your own family covered it up. Like, with me, I understood my grandmother's actions. When I tell you that my father was a savage, and my mom is on the chat, she can tell you, when she was speaking within herself, and she was like, ahora que voy a hacer, cómo le voy a decir a tu mamá, how, and in those times ACS was called BCW,
Mm,
and they didn't play. They looked for any reason to take a minority child out of the home and put them in the system, because I was ching
mhm.
ching money for them, right? So that was her fear too. She was like, they're gonna take you, they're gonna put you in the system. And how am I gonna tell your mother? I'm gonna tell your dad. Like, yeah, I was entrusted with your safety.
Right.
And I blurted out, mi papá va a
Yeah, he's
matar a
gonna
todo el
kill
mundo,
everyone. The world. Right.
because I knew for a fact that he was capable. Even behind bars, he was capable of making it happen. And seeing that fear in her, and then I took in, like, with my mom, like, just knowing the love that they have for me, trying to reflect that back, and the way they protected me, that had that like protective vibe towards me, and that I was a nene, and and knowing that my grandmother she was there for me when I was sick and everything. I wanted to do something to protect her.
Right.
So when she told me, she was like, please, we can't tell nobody. I'll make sure you never see this person again. I told her, okay, I promise. Okay.
To carry that, bro. To carry that. To
To
carry
carry
that.
that,
I don't even know what to. I don't even know what to tell you right now. Like I can't.
it was deep. It was deep.
Because this is not a memory that happens that was buried in the subconscious somewhere. This is a cognitive memory. You have it. You know it, and
Yeah.
you know.
And
I don't
seeing
even
her
know what
like
to
that,
say.
because I've never seen, I can never say, aside from that point, that I've seen my grandmother scared, or any weakness in her, right? I've seen
Hmm.
her cry out of, someone passed away, but I've never seen genuine fear in her. I've always seen her like the chihuahua that she's ready to rip at you. She didn't care who you
Hmm.
was. And seeing her moment of vulnerability like that destroyed me, and it took me to the point where I put everything that I was feeling aside, and I was like, I need to do what I have to do to protect her, to protect my mom, because I knew that at that time my dad would have, when I tell you that I would not have doubted that he was in jail, but he would have sent somebody to burn down the whole damn building, he would have done it. So I switched places. I went from being the victim to being the protector.
Mm.
And
And how old again?
at that time I was about 7 years old.
Right. Let's just talk about that.
And I folded it up as best I could, and I put it deep inside me, and I just ignored it. And I was like, my goal is to make sure that nothing happens. Now, miraculously, after that, which I don't put in the book, miraculously after that, so she tells my grandfather, and my grandfather, unless he was drunk, he was a man of very few words. And when I saw the look in his face as she was telling him, I knew what she was telling him, right? After that, miraculously, every week I was getting an allowance from him. Yeah, every week, every time he got paid, I was getting an allowance from him.
So you no longer the problem with somebody else. All of a sudden, all of that, all the problem conversations that they have fights about, pretty much
Right. I think it was more
somebody else's
like,
problem was now
I
an
think it was more
allowance
like,
problem.
damn,
Right.
shit. Like my family, we knew about this nigga. We let him come
But
around.
I honestly felt that from reading. Like I felt like when she had the conversation with him and he kind of just like put his head down and was like, whatever the case, and that was like kind of the last time, because that was the last time you saw this guy,
Ever. Now,
right?
years later, my two older kids were in New York visiting my mom, and she tells me, "Oh my God, guess who's here?" And I was like, "Who?" And she's like, "Tio Lalo." Bro, my blood went cold. And I said, "Where the hell are my kids?" And she
Right,
was like, "They're in the house." And I was like, "Where is he?" Get my kids out the house. Like, and my mom couldn't understand why I was freaking out.
right.
And I just lost it. And she was like, "But relax." And I'm like, "Go home with my kids now. I don't want them there." And I just like, I lost total control.
Of course.
So I think now she understands why I freaked out that day.
Right.
But he's living his best life. His victims are still silenced, except for me. My mom was like, she and she's still on the fence. Like she's still like, "Oh my God, what are people gonna think?" And I told her, "I don't care." And I told her, and she told me, "Oh, because my uncle's from Puerto Rico, because her other uncles are good people. Like I can tell you, they're genuinely good people." I don't know what happened to that one, but
He's
who
obviously
cares?
sick
They
in
don't
the
pay
head.
your
He got
yeah.
something to
I told, who cares? They don't pay your bills. When you sick,
facts.
they don't come and give you your Tylenol and bring you your soup.
Facts.
The
Facts.
day, God forbid, you are bedridden or you need someone to change your diapers, they're not gonna come and do it for you. Who cares? And I say it because I'm not better than thou, but I feel like I was given the opportunity to have the blessing to actually write a book and have it out there. And I think that now it's time to, and it's not to hurt him. It's not for anyone to go after him, but just to give empowerment to his victims and know, like, yo, it's okay. You can speak out. Like, you're not alone. And now that
I
it's out
was
in the open,
low key hoping he was dead, but I guess that's just
no,
wishful
nope,
thinking.
he is
I
alive.
don't have a problem saying it, but I mean, no offense to nobody. No, this is family. But as a reader,
Oh, they don't mess with him. They don't like him.
fuck that man. Okay. Um, Doña Carmen, I'm gonna be real extra respectful. Don't I see the sad faces, and again, like there's no rule book. There's no way you're gonna know. There's no
Yeah,
way you can do anything more than what you can do sometimes. So I really hope that this doesn't spark up any feelings for you of anything that you did the best you can. Like I said earlier, like all
yeah.
parents, they know what there's no rule book. There is no
I've been
rule
trying
book.
to tell her. I told her because I had said it in the live that I had with Janet. I said if I could pick a mother 100 times over, I would pick my mom 100 times. And
Love
that
it.
night, we and her had a conversation, and she's like, "What did you mean by that?" And I said, "If I had to die and be reborn 100 times, I would choose you as my mom because you are a warrior. Like, no matter what happened to me growing up, you are a warrior. And I know for a fact, if you would have had the inkling of a thought or suspicion that I was going to be in any type of danger, the same way that I feared my father was going to burn down the building, you would have tore down walls and you would have took people out. I know that,
Right.
but you didn't. You took me to the place that you thought I was going to be the safest, and I was going to be in the best of hands.
That's it.
Wholeheartedly, that's what you felt.
Well, I only have like one more question left, honestly, because like I said, from where I left off and everything, but I want to just applaud you,
Thank you.
honestly, for having the brevity to be this transparent, to literally have the courage to stand in your truth and declare it, because it can help other victims, even if not the victims directly by this individual. Just the fact that anyone who hears this, because there is a lot of stigma and there's a lot of shame associated, especially with young boys and who grow into men, because of this idea of machismo, this idea of having to
Yeah.
be strong all the time and you can't show your feelings and all this, that, and the other. And so for you to say, hey, listen, I was raped by a family member, it happened, I am, moving on with life the best way I can and making sure to, make sure that it's a thing that's not hidden. We have to
Mhm.
sometimes correct the mistakes of our elders
Mhm.
sometimes, and this is, it's one of the reasons, like even within our general community, where I must, like, why I've been so loud and strong and proud about, like, we need to stop having people around who have all these accusations. Like, there's a reason for it. We cannot just turn our blind eye because we didn't see it happen. You
Yep.
ain't telling me 60 people are saying the same thing happened. Maybe 10 of them are lying, but you tell me all the rest of the 50 are all, and they're all saying the same thing. Like, we have to
Yeah.
not create safe spaces for that type of nonsense. We have to
Exactly.
actually, and not victim blame, and really encourage people, because just because we know someone to be a nice individual and we know someone to be whatever doesn't mean that they're that with somebody else. So
Yep.
everybody's capable of horrible things.
I
And
just
so
felt so betrayed because if you read that chapter, like at that time, the innocence of me, like I even told him good night, and I was like, I
right,
don't know if he understood English, but I wanted to be kind,
right.
right? So it was like very, and I was super excited. Like here's these visitors coming, something out of the norm. Like my great grandmother's here, and my grandfather's brother's here. Like how exciting, right?
Was he ever married? Did he have kids or
He
anything
don't
like
have
that?
no kids. He don't have no wife. He's never had a
Oh,
woman. Nothing.
okay.
He's lived with his mother his whole entire life. And when she passed away, he stood with the house, and he was always the one that, oh, was baby. Like that was the baby, and the baby needed shoes, and mommy couldn't pay for it, so the brothers had to get together and pay for it, and the brother needed, So that's why my mom is like, the freaking concept of the fact that they continue to hide and support this animal when he was hurting their kids as well. What the hell is going on with this family? And
Is
I
he the
was like,
youngest out of the kids, or?
I believe so. Ma, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know my mom is listening. I think he is the youngest out of all of them.
Mm-mm-mm.
I think
This
so.
that boggles my mind, because and to be transparent with you, like, I'm 40 years old, okay, and I get those little biological kicks every now and then where I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
kids. I don't want kids. I really don't want kids. But one of the reasons I never wanted kids, I'm not lying to you, was because I was always afraid that that would happen to them, that they would get by. And I'm like, the worst part about it is, and I've always told this to people, I said, do you realize this, that 9 out of 10 times this is done by family members
Hmm.
who you're supposed to love and trust, and or family friends. So do you
Yep.
know how horrible? It's not a stranger. Sometimes it's not the creepy guy from down the block. It is the uncle, the brother, the father, the step something, the whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
That always was a thing in my head, and I was like, I can't, because I will lose it.
Of course.
I will
That's my
I
biggest
will
fear. If
lose
it's
it.
one thing that I always ask Maya is, please give me health, give my family health, and look after my kids. Because one part, that's why I said you can never completely heal. And I can't say that I'm completely healed. Because if my kids were to be in that situation, I would lose my damn mind. Like media coverage type lose
I hear
my
that's what
mind.
I said. Dramatic and
And
drastic.
yes, like crazy out the box. Like they'll be like, this guy was a savage inside of him all his life. There's something that was hiding in there. He let it out. But I will completely lose it, and I won't see. eh, I won't recognize anything, the law,
Yep.
anything. Like I would just
I
lose it.
Right here with you. Right here with you. I rarely lose my temper. I can get mouthy real quick, but for me to step into, like, it it that's a whole nother story. But I get it. No, I totally get it. And that's me with a hypothesis of what would happen. That's me in my head just think, I'm like, no, I can't handle that. I cannot handle that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't want to stay on that topic, because that that's a whole
Yeah,
other
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But again, I thank you for stepping forward and saying that there are a lot of victims out there of this type of thing that do not step forward. Their wives never know, their kids never know, and they carry
Hmm.
this the way you carried it from 7 on to what 30? What would you say? You said
36.
to 36. Okay, so I hope anybody watching, if you can tell your truth, if you can feel inspired to tell your truth, healing does happen in various degrees. And, sometimes you don't have to hold it. It's not yours to hold. And sometimes you just got to get it out. And you never know who it might help and who else might be a victim. So please, if you're watching this, don't be afraid to tell your story and tell your truth. Um,
Facts.
the one other thing that, and this is probably where I got to in the last thing, because I always start thinking psychologically. That's how I am. I'm always like, oh my God, what's the thought structure of this person? What's going on? How did it feel to, okay, Uncle Joe was acting a monkey. He was a mess. He was mean for no goddamn reason. His mouth was atrocious. He needed to probably get the teeth knocked out,
Hmm.
that needed to get knocked out. And, but having this altercation with your father, and having this thing where your father's like, yo, I'm gonna kill him. Like it's done. And knowing what your father's capable of, knowing that he had a love for the streets, it is what it is, and that way of life. Were you ever in just fear of like what danger your father may have posed to anybody in your family that
Uh,
pissed him off?
oh
Like, was
yeah.
that a dread? Was that something that you were like, well, damn, like everybody just stay away from this man at this point?
The only breaks my father I think had, because although he put my mom through hell, I think that he genuinely loved her, and I think that was the only breaks that he had. The only person that could stop him from total annihilation was her. So when he had that altercation, that he was like, when he told Joe, like, I am, he, his mouth split and everything. They trying to push him into the car, and he turned around and he said, "Say bye to your kids. Say bye to your wife, because I am going to kill you." I, without a doubt, believed every word that came out of his mouth. And in the back of my head, I was thinking, holy crap, he is going to kill him. And anyone that gets in his way, like, he is going to kill him. And although Joe treated me like shit growing up, I really think he had a lot of issues going on with himself. I felt bad for him, and I feared for his safety.
With your
And I
father or in general because of how he was?
No, with my father, like, I was like,
Got you.
my father's gonna kill this man. Like, this man is never gonna see his kids grow past this week, most likely. Like he said, he's gonna do it. Um, I feared for him, and I felt bad because I was like, I started to break things down, and I was like, he was just basically defending his family too in his home. Like, you were in the wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Um, if the shoe would have been the other way around, you would have done much worse to him. And from hearing the story later on, he was just, he was a scary cat. He had a lot of mouth. So he had what he had in the store just to protect him just in case. And if he would have not had that, I think he probably would have ended up getting killed right then during the fight. Um, because my father's intent during the fight was to stab him. And when he saw that, that's why he pulled out what he pulled out to keep him away.
Like a pipe.
Right. Um, so he I was just scared. I was relieved to hear when my mom told me afterwards what took place and how she stopped it. I was relieved, um when it was like, he's okay, he's not gonna do nothing to him. And I felt genuinely bad because I was in my mom's job one time when he called my mom's job to beg for his life. I was there. And I remember my mom telling him, please calm down, please don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it. And you can hear like him on the other line, like losing his mind
Hysterical,
because
yeah.
he as well knew that, bro, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have to hide. I'm gonna have to go somewhere, right? Um, I felt bad for him. Even though I don't think anybody else growing up the way I grew up, they probably would have been like, "Oh, screw him. I hope he gets what he deserves." Um, but I genuinely felt bad for him. I fear for a lot of people. I fear for myself. I remember once, and this is not in the book. My dad always had his pinky nail long because
Right.
um and I remember one day I pissed him off and he got up from the bed and he like ripped it off and he was like, "You want to act like a man? We're gonna fight." And I saw my life flash before my eyes, and I was like 12 or 13 years old, and I was like, "This man is gonna kill me. Like he's gonna beat the shit out of me." Like he had a temper like that.
Yeah.
He had a temper like that, and he would sweet talk you off of anything you had, and he's still like that. I don't talk to him, but he's still like that. So,
Oh,
and
he's
all my
still with
family
us. I
members.
wasn't sure. I was going to ask you those questions too.
No, I don't talk to him. I tried to reintegrate him back into my life 2 years ago, and then he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna send your kids Christmas cards," and I was like, "Okay, cool. Like, you don't have to do anything for my kids. Like I don't expect anything."
Right.
So I have my two oldest don't live with me. The ones that live with me, their cards came and they had like $50 each, and the ones that don't live with me, their cards got there. It was money cards, and they got there empty. And
Still the same old shit from
I
when
had a
you.
flashback.
Right. I was ready to say, I'm like, really? Like you did when you would.
And I was still like, let me give this man the benefit of the doubt. And I called him and he would have picked up his phone. And I called him and he would have picked up his phone. And I said, this cannot be. And I think I called him for like a week straight and he would have picked up his phone. And I said, from this day forward, I will never talk to him again.
Is one thing for me, one thing for my kids.
You can do what you did. You put me through hell and back, but you will not expose my kids to not even 1 ounce of what you made me go through. So I don't keep him around. Um, Growing up where a lot of people scared of him in my family, yeah.
No.
My grandmother had a saying: "A mí no me importa porque yo tengo un yerno que no se quiere la vida." And she was talking about my dad. I have a son-in-law that he doesn't care about his own life. So why would he care about yours?
Right.
And she used to threaten people with that shit. She used to tell them like, "Oh, I'll call my son-in-law." And I used to, when growing up, I used to be like, "Oh, yeah, I like him when I need him, but when he's not useful, he's a piece of crap." Right?
That's
And
life.
that's why I say like my dad. I know even if I don't talk to him, but if today I pick up the phone and I say, "Hey, I got a problem with X, Y, Z," he'll tell me, "Don't worry about it. I'm gonna take care of it." And what I mean is, he's gonna take care of it. He'll find a way to take care of it, no matter where I'm at.
You think
I
he got
remember
wind of this book, even though you guys are not talking? Do you think?
he may not.
Mm,
Um, and if he does, it's okay because I hope that he can grow from it too. He can see
right.
through my eyes how I saw him growing up.
Right.
Um, I know before I even wrote the book, one day I was talking to my mom about the fact about the cards, and I told my mom I was having like a breakdown, and I told her I don't understand. All I ever wanted in life growing up was to have a real dad. I saw other kids with their dads, and I never had that. And my mom was like, "Wow, that hurt her," because I think she was trying her best to keep the family together and tried to have him around, and in doing so, it just caused like damage of a
Oh
level that
yeah.
she didn't expect. And she goes, "Wow, you just hit me hard." And I told her, "It's not for you to feel bad. I'm just telling you, like growing up, I wish that I had the dad that everybody else had. Instead, my dad was always in jail or high.
Right.
So it's cray cray."
Right.
Um, that's why I look at people sometimes and I see people like popping off and getting crazy on Facebook, and I laugh because I'm like, if you really gonna pop off, you're not gonna say nothing. Like I live that life. I seen people like um did you get to the chapter where I saw someone get killed?
Yes. Stabbed.
I seen that. Like
Right.
I've lived like I've been there in the trenches, right?
Mhm.
I understand how to handle situations like that because of it. And in a way, I don't want to say that I'm grateful for the upbringing that I had, but I'm a bit appreciative because I can handle situations better than most people.
Right.
Like I know how to navigate them. Um, but yeah, I just. But to get back to your question, yes, I feared for people in my family because of my dad. My dad didn't care who the hell you were.
Right.
He robbed. Not only did he break into these people's house, Joe and Gladys, another aunt of mine, he broke into her house and robbed her too. Neighbors, landlady.
Jesus.
Um, he was a savage. Like
He
he
didn't give
didn't
a fuck.
care.
Yeah.
He didn't care. Like this is what I want. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take it. And he always reminded me of like Al Pacino, Carlitos way. Like
Mm-hmm.
he had the long leather coat. Um, he had people around him that was willing and ready to do whatever.
Well,
And seeing him go deeper into drugs and all of that fall apart killed me because he went from the yo that's Cano, don't mess with him to the yeah, that fucking junkie,
mm,
and that killed me. Like I still know he's capable of that stuff still because I know
right.
without a doubt, But there was a point that he just completely like went downhill. Like people lost respect for him and everything. So,
Well,
any
I didn't
questions
get
in the
past.
chat?
There's stuff in the chat. So the one of the question that was asked earlier was, "How do you feel now that the book is out?"
I feel good. I feel really good. I feel that I hope that it can empower other people. I hope um and I know that through the chapters I start the chapters with Odus and
Hmm.
Yemaya's in a chapter, but I hope that people even outside of the Orisha religion find strength in it because it's a topic not only isolated to us. Like that was my way of my healing, my journey of healing, right?
Hmm.
So that was my way. People might find a different way to heal, but I just hope that people find strength from it. Um, that people find their voice, and that people turn the monster that made you a victim in society's eyes, turn that person into the victim. You become the biggest and baddest monster so that whenever they close their eyes, all they think about is you. Whenever they wake up in the morning, all they think about is you and the consequences of what they did to you. Whenever they have to go to the store to get a bottle of water and they see a kid in the side of the road, they remember you and what they did to you. Find your strength, and you don't have to do it physically. You don't have to do it putting hands on nobody, but find that avenue to be your strength, whether it be through a book, whether it be through a painting, whether it be writing a song, whether it be writing poetry, but find your strength and speak out.
Um, yeah, I think this is a vehicle to bigger conversations. I think this is going to be a vehicle to a lot more other things. I know you said you might be working on other books, correct?
I am. So this is part two to this. So this one ends when I do Ocha. I'm right under the throne. Um, Part two is my year in white
Okay.
and just navigating Ita and the situations that come up um, right into present day.
I
Um,
remember your story of one of the lives with your
yeah, yeah,
wife
yeah,
and all that stuff. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
I
yeah.
know that's going to get deep into that.
And there's more that that happened after that. So it's gonna go to present day, and then I have other projects like fiction projects, using characters from Batakings to start a fiction series. Not the Batakings, but the characters and making their own story come to life.
I love that.
Um, just just to continue writing because I really want to write. I really love writing, and then I would like to start a kids series for younger Hispanic kids, especially tailored to the hood, that they feel like they can't do something. So my kids are actually going to collab with me on that. They're going to tell me their ideas, and then I'm going to put it together in words
Right,
and
right.
stuff. So that's what's coming out in the future, which a lot relies on the success of this book. But ultimately, my dream that I hope comes out of this and the success of this book and my future projects is starting a non-for-profit organization for domestic violence victims in honor of Yemaya and Ochun. Um, that will service everybody in the community, whether it be Orisha related or not, and then eventually branch out to providing work skills services and employment services in honor of Ogun, who's my dad. Um, and who knows, maybe branch out further from there and a non for profit where people, through the organization, provide food for people that just need a hot plate of food, a fresh
Listen,
change of clothes, and a bath.
you're talking to someone who, in the 12 years I've been in this community and in this tradition, has been trying to get those things started with established
Right.
groups.
So that's my thing is I don't want to even, if the Arisha community jumps on, beautiful,
Right.
perfect,
No, in
great.
general, you're talking about in general. I think what you were highlighting was
Hmm.
something I've been asking a lot of people. Just there's a
And
lot
it's
of
sad.
mothers out here who need supplies. Can we do something with the name of Yemaya? Like whatever. There's school supplies for kids. Can we do a tambor for Elegua? And everyone goes to 99-cent store, gets notebooks and pencils and whatever. Like things
Yep.
like that. And I'm like, elderly. Can we do something about Allah's name? Get together and do that, right? Everyone likes to throw the tambores, but I'm like, we can do other things and we can actually be in the community helping and servicing the community. Because
Yes.
what is
We
priesthood?
we need to do that. We need to do that. So
Listen, I have been asking that and putting it out there for groups, and I tell you, it becomes more political than it becomes actually
yeah,
doing
that's why
anything.
if they want to join, they could join. I'm not gonna be like, hey,
I'll be on the
Olocha,
mix.
stand up.
Let me know when it's happening. I will figure out how to
Yeah,
help and
I'm
organize where I
actually in the process
can.
of forming the LLC, so I can start the process of doing small projects to build up to getting the nonprofit recognition and certified. Um, and I'm just gonna do it in general, like anyone in the neighborhood, whether you are Olocha related or not. If you have Ocha done, you don't. If you don't believe, if you think the Orishas are the demon devils from hell, that's fine. But can you
That's
bring
fine too.
something so we can give to the community?
That part.
Um, that's my goal. I'm in the process of trying to form all of that out so I can do it. I will share with the Orisha community if they want to join, they can. If they don't want to, that's fine. Because I think that there's a lot of government resources and grants too
Absolutely.
that can step in and take care of where the community lacks. Now, I will say this: when it blows up and when it takes off, don't be like, "Oh, it's because of us and elders." And no, no,
That part. That
no.
part.
It's gonna be solely on the Orishas and sacrifices because I'm going to take proceeds from this book. I'm going to take proceeds from the next book, and any writing project I do, it's going to go towards the non for profit organization to start and get it off the ground and make sure that we get boots on the ground and get this taken care of. I believe 100% is going to happen. And I tell you why, because not because I have a magic wand, not because my Orishas are better than anybody else. But every time I have asked them for something and in return I said I'm going to give back something, like for example, when my son had to do Ocha, it happened in a matter of months. So I put it to Yemaya Chun and I told them, let's make this happen in honor of you guys and let's help people. I am tired, and I said it in the live with Janet. I am tired of turning on the news and hearing on today's news, we found a beheaded chicken in the railroad tracks and in the corner of the street. Instead of hearing today, a group of Olorishas came out and served the homeless. Today, a group of Olorishas came out and supplied medical supplies for the sick. Something. Even
Listen,
if we went to a clinic and we supplied tissues to people that had colds, something. Because let me tell you, again, I'm gonna say it and I'm gonna keep saying it, and whoever don't like it. Orisha is love and healing. Orisha is not darkness and the
and community.
occultness
And
and
community.
community. Yeah, love, healing, community, family. It's not what others want to make it seem because they want to seem bigger and better than everybody else. That is darkness and brujeria. No, No, it's love, healing. And if you're in that point in your journey where you think that that's brujeria is gonna solve everything and you're gonna kill somebody with brujeria, you got a long way to go. Um, do their ashe step in and help us with a bowl and with trabajo? Yes, it does. Because, but at the end of the day, the end goal is healing and finding that long term healing. Um, so I want us to step outside of those shadows because I'm tired of seeing the main, like they say, the main world religions. Like this predates anything else. Like, are
Anything.
you serious?
I totally
And
get
you
it.
have these major Christian, Hindu, Muslim organizations getting hundreds of thousands of dollars and putting it out there and just selectively giving it to their own. I say that let's go out there and let's build an organization that could collect at the same level, but give it to everybody,
Absolutely.
not only to Olochas, but to give it to everybody. And let's stop the divide and let's come together. Like, you know what, I could not stand you, but I will gladly stand next to you to give out a pack of diapers to a mother that needs it. I could hate you and everything you stand for and everything that you believe in,
Same.
but I will stand next to you so I can serve a plate of food to the next person that's hungry.
I am
And
with
then
you.
when that day is over, I don't have to see you again. Or if I see you again, I'll see you in the next event. But there's a time to put everything aside and to step up for a greater good. And I think that we're going to have an opportunity as a community to stand up and to show face. And my intention is to stand up and show face no matter who stands next to me. If you are an Oriate of 500 years, or if you are an Aleyo that just received your collares, I'm not gonna look for the validation of anybody. It goes back to what I tell you. I stopped looking for people's validation. I'm gonna do
Love
what
that.
I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make it do. Whether you like it, whether you don't, whether you validate it or not, I'm gonna do it for a good reason. And I'm not gonna do it to be out there and doing videos. Look, I'm donating to the. No, what I'm gonna do is behind closed doors, and I'm gonna just make sure. And if the exposure goes out and people look, this organization came through, and I'm gonna make sure that there's an organization that they know that they can turn to seek resources, but I'm not gonna be extra about it either because a lot of
Let other
people
people do that for you. That's what marketing is for. Don't
a
worry
lot of
about it.
people, yeah, and a lot of people they shy away from, oh, should I contact this person for assistance because they're gonna do a live saying that I here, oh look, here I am paying this person's bill for them through the organization, where it shouldn't be like that because people have pride too and people have privacy and stuff. So that is my long-term goal. A lot is pending on the success of this book. So, and I am so excited about it. I
So
invite. Huh?
speaking of that, I don't want to cut you off, but I know we've been on here for about an hour and a half already because time flies like a beast.
Oh yeah, it does.
But I'm loving every bit of it. I want to make sure that a this is for pre-order at this point, right? It gets released live as of
So
the 21st.
the paperback went live before time,
Okay,
um, and when it was brought to Amazon's attention, because for some reason Amazon jumped the gun before everybody else, because they wanted to make their paper, they pulled it until Friday. So right now it's unavailable. It was available, so whoever got in and was lucky enough to get in on yesterday and early today, you will get your book. Just be aware that Amazon, they had like a promotional copy just to get the word out. And I think that's what they send out to people. So that's why I asked people who ever ordered books yesterday and early today to please contact me so that I can rectify it for them. Because the ones that went out that people are going to be receiving that ordered yesterday and this morning are gonna have like typos in them, and I don't want nobody to have it's minor little stuff, but
still got it.
um just hit me up, show me your proof of purchase and when you bought it, and I will gladly take care of that for you. And then the ebook is pre-order. Like you can actually pay for it now, and then Friday it will be available on your
I'm
electronic stuff.
gonna
Uh,
try to present. I want to see if I can share the screen,
okay,
so I can hopefully show. Do you see that?
there you go.
All right, so this is for Amazon. For those of you who need to see that, you'll see pieces of me, my life of abuse, depression, healing, and Yemaya's love. You can pre-order this. I've been clicking in the chat and comments the link to this page as well as to his author page, which I'm going to switch over to. This is Eddie's author page. Excuse me with all that. Where you can go just read more about him, some excerpts from the book, and you can just get a little bit more insight with what's going on and when everything will be there as far as being released. So I hope that you guys are enjoying the conversation. I hope you see the links. I'm hoping to save this live and put it back on. Hopefully, I think YouTube will save it and I'll be able to post it back to Facebook, and we can hopefully share this everywhere in all our groups, whether, Locha group or spiritual group, whatever. People need to hear this story. They need to understand the greater purpose of this, which is for nonprofit, for community building, for healing, and things of that nature. And so, is this book going to be in Spanish as well at one point, or is it just English for
So
now?
let me break it down. So because I decided to go with a smaller publishing house,
Mm-hmm.
a lot is based on the success of this book.
Okay.
Um, the plan is that I, I was offered a deal with a bigger publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
But if anyone has published before, you know that when you first debut, they offer you a very minimal advance, and your royalty is very tiny, like 15% for each book that you make. And they expect that with the advance, you go travel wherever they book you for and pay out of your own pocket. And then you don't
Mm.
see a dollar until your book makes back that advance. So I was offered an opportunity to go with a smaller publishing house with the understanding and with the intent that when this book takes off, they will make a Spanish version and the book will be picked up for reprint by one of the big fives who I am in talks with. And they will pick up the second book as well. And meaning I can get out there and make it happen, and the advance will be bigger where I can actually make an impact on everything that I want to do. So
Well, we got to
in
support this,
short,
guys.
yes, it's going to come out in Spanish, as, but not right away. We just need to show to them that, hey, look, this book got enough rave and attention that we need to get it in Spanish. But the intent is to switch it over to Spanish because I think a lot of people, especially in a community, speak only Spanish, and I want to be able to get out the message to everybody, not just people that speak English, but everyone in general. I think we need to get that message out of healing and just to speak out and to seek help. Please, the one of the biggest messages that I want people to understand is please seek help. If you feel like you need to see a therapist, please seek help. Seek help. If you have OCHA done and you are scared to seek help because you feel like people are gonna think that your issues are broken by some way, don't believe the hype. I see a therapist. I still see a therapist.
Me too.
I handle my emotions and my feelings through that avenue, and I also leave it at the feet of Orisha, both, right? Because I'm very spiritual, but also I feel like I need to just speak with someone as well that can help me process what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And I wholeheartedly feel that Orisha took me to the path of seeking therapy, and was like, look, you need to seek other therapy as well. And that's when I started going to like actual therapy sessions, and I was able to deal with a lot of things myself. So please seek therapy if you need it. Don't be ashamed. Your resources are not broken. They
Facts.
actually, as a matter of fact, take this as a message from your research telling you to please go seek therapy if you need it.
Facts. These are facts. All right, guys. So you already know we gotta support our own. I expect folks to be sharing this, to like it, to comment, to make sure you pre-order your book if you're doing an ebook, or at least get the live paperback.
The light paperback should be between tomorrow afternoon or evening, but definitely by Friday it's gonna have that button again that you can order it. Um, through Amazon, it's gonna be on BarnesandNobles.com. You
Perfect.
can order it through even Walmart, Target. If you have a bookstore near you and you're like, hey, can you order this book for me to pick up? It's gonna be available for any
Perfect.
bookstore to order it and pick it up. Um, and yeah, just go by the ISBN, use the ISBN, and they'll be able to order it from the publisher or from the printer that the publisher is using to print the books.
Guys, we share memes all day. We share reels all day. We share Beyonce and everybody else all day. There's no reason we cannot share this, put the word out, and really help support each other. So please do so. Eddie, thank you again. I really appreciate you
Not a problem.
wanting to have this platform with me and to discuss this. And I really believe in this project and the future projects and where everything will lead
Thank
up
you. Thank
into.
you.
And I will be here supporting as best I can. And this platform I have is always open to you if you need to ever, just want to talk about anything or promote anything. I don't have a great reach, but I have some reach, and I would love to
Of
help
course.
my fellow
I mean,
people.
ultimately, I would love to go and do a mega event, right? We can get all of the podcasters together or live people together and do a huge live with everybody on it so that all the platforms can come together, and we can just continue to get the word out, because really I think that not only as a Orisha community but in the world right now, we need people to seek healing, because there's a lot of hate out
I
there
agree.
and there's a lot of divide, and right now it's a time to seek healing.
I agree. Well, thank you again. Love to your
My pleasure.
lovely family that came here to support you. Your
They're in
mom,
there, I
of
see
course.
them.
To your wife, of course, your kids. God bless you all.
Thank you.
And everybody, thank you again for just joining in, taking some of your time to listen to this and to hopefully support our brother here. Thank you all so much.
Before we leave, I don't know if
Yes.
you want to let me send you something. We can leave them off with this for the people that haven't seen it.
Okay. Where are you sending it to me at?
I am going to send it to you on Facebook.
Jogare.
Maybe you could play it and share it real quick.
Okay.
Um, just put it together.
Look on your face.
Mm,
He says of me.
you can get the soundtrack for Pieces of Me through David Sosa.
There's a song called Pieces of Me. That's why I had it in
Give
my head every time I hear it. Every time I read the thing in your book, I keep singing that song.
me 1 second. It's like deep in here. I gotta dig it out my phone.
Look, Linda Roman was saying, do another live a week after the release. She ain't
That's my
playing.
baby. Let me tell y'all true facts. Y'all gonna understand this real quick. Um, well, it's gonna be in the book. You guys are gonna read it. So when I was at my darkest moments, and I actually was planning a second attempt at suicide, and I was planning on making it successful. Um, I was like the day before, I had a crazy dude that I knew from work that had access to like guns and stuff, and I was gonna trade him a bottle of Percocets that I had got from the hospital for a gun. And my plan was that to take my life. And I already had said my goodbyes to everybody mentally, and I was ready to go. And the day before, Linda, she knocks on the door, and at this time I was isolated from everybody. Like I didn't want to hear nothing from nobody. I was like over everything, and she wouldn't give up until I opened the door. And when I opened the door, she just told me, "I just want you to know that you're beautiful." And she stopped me from continuing my plans.
Come on, Linda. That's healing right there. That's support and
Yeah.
intuition. We love it.
So she was like, and I told her, "Get away from me, get out of here." And she was like, "I'm not leaving until you open the door." Um, and I told her, "No, I don't want to hear it. Get out." And she's like, "I'm not leaving." And she was a little thing. I think she had just started high school. Um, and slammed open the door. I said, "What the hell you want?" She just looked at me with her eyes like innocent. She didn't give me no reaction. She just said, "I just want you to know that you're beautiful and I love you." And that snapped me out of whatever the hell I was feeling. I closed the door. I didn't even tell her anything. And I sat on the bed and I boo-hoo cried. And I said, someone still loves me in this world. Someone cares enough about me to come and tell me that I'm beautiful. I love you. And I called off all the arrangements that I have. And from that day, I decided that it was time for me to just heal and live and live. Like there was someone willing to see me live.
Come on, Linda. We love you, Linda.
That's my booski.
We need more Lindas.
That's my cousin. Yeah. When I told her
Linda,
the story
Linda,
for the first
Linda.
time, she was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah, that day when you came to the room,
You
you
saved me.
saved
You
my
didn't know
life, and you didn't even know it." Boy, give me one more second so we can put this up here.
it.
Um, did she respond? And Evelise is my cousin too.
So I said family came hard today.
Yeah, man. All right, here we go. If you want to share it and play it before
All
we
right.
go, just so they can see that it's the promo video for the book.
You sent it to the messenger?
Yeah,
All right. I'm waiting for it to come still. It didn't come through yet.
yeah, it's loading.
Oh, okay. Do, 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 do.
You should be getting it like any second.
Sure.
There you go. You should have it.
There we go. All right. We're going to do this and we're going to pause so I can put it back because it already started playing. I'm going to do this and let's do it. Present, share screen. Maldita. Share screen. Entire screen. Share. All right. Before I took my first breath of life, before I could even release a cry of hunger or pain, death visited me. It scratched at my mother's wound, trying to claw its way in and extinguish my very existence. Growing up, I experienced abuse. I went through depression and attempted suicide. I thought all was lost until I met the Orishas in Yemaya. They taught me to heal, love, and gave me a foundation for new beginnings. They taught me the many lessons of life. This is my story.
That was supposed to be my original cover, and the publishing house was like, "Hell no."
They were like, "What's that giant soup tureen in the back? What type of giant urn is that?"
Yeah,
Nah, appreciate. I really do appreciate. Thank you for sharing. Uh,
Janet,
Creepy Miriam came up. Janet came
KP
up.
Marriott, they came. Yeah,
Folks, we're at the end. We're at the end of everything, but I really, really appreciate you all
thank
for
you
being
guys.
here. And Eddie, thank you again for just sharing your story and the strength of that, and all the people that it's going to help. I thank you in advance for all the people that it's going to help who read your story and who can understand this life better,
For sure.
because they lived it or had, like I said, proximity to it. So,
And just everybody know that I'm giving you the raw, the real, the
oh,
unfiltered,
it's very
real
real.
book.
It's very real.
Um, Yemaya told me Anita. No, excuse me. Ochun told me Anita I couldn't wear any mask in the world, and I just took off my mask, and you are seeing the raw, the real me, and everything that I've been through. So take it, grow, love, heal from it, apply it if it applies. If you know someone it applies to, apply it to them, and just give the next person strength, and let's help the next person that's hurting and you don't even know what they've been through.
Facts. Facts. So definitely what I'm all about. That's what Ochun told me to do. So I sometimes put on my little crusader hat and cape and try to, have conversations that are deep like this sometimes with various people in the tradition, because and outside the tradition as well, but also because I understand that there's a lot of hurt, unhealed people
Hmm.
who are in this particular community.
For sure.
And if we can stop some of the toxicity and we can stop some of the cycles and break some of those things, we can actually flourish and survive a whole different kind of way. So I again appreciate you, Mafre Funyemaya, Ogun, Egun, Uchun, of course.
Gotcha.
And again, just thank you. Just thank you for being a part of this and doing
Not a problem.
responding to your gifts and your mission.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to working closely with the community and if whoever wants to in the community, Orisha community, but inside the community in general in New York, Miami. I have some connections in New York that want to get the project off the picked up and off the ground in New York as well. And I just look forward to everyone that's going to be a part of this so that we can help the next person.
I love it. I will try to, like I said, assist and help and support the best I can. Everyone on here, you have this on YouTube. Please share this. Share this with everybody. Put it on your pages. Let's do it for the week. Come on now. It's Wednesday. At least between now and Sunday, you should be sharing this where you can, even in private messages. Don't be afraid to, bother somebody as we sometimes believe we're doing. Just do it anyway. You never know how much it really helps and who it reach.
Facts.
Brother, love you. Thank you so
See
much
you.
for everything. And I'm going to
Look,
end the
look at the
broadcast.
ladies. Look at
Thank
the
you again.
ladies.
Family who came to visit, thank you so much for your presence in this man's life.
Gotcha.
And we wish to have more people like you in this world, and people can have family members like you, people like you in their life too. You never know an act of kindness and who it may save. So thank you for everybody here. All right. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one,
Have a
my
good night,
brother.
guys.
Take
Good
care.
night.
Bye bye.